Hi everyone, my name is Trent Gregory, and today I'll be presenting the Vermilion Cliffs National Monument Resource Management Plan. Uh, Behind the title is a picture from within Vermilion Cliffs National Monument, um, and it is located in northern Arizona, and then a little bit of it is also located in southern Utah. So, what's the purpose of the Resource Management Plan, which I will be calling the RMP throughout the presentation. Above the picture, I have a quote from the Bureau of Land Management. I'm not going to read it all, but basically it's describing why the monument was set aside. And it's for reasons such as scientific interest, long-term preservation for this generation and future generations, and also preserving the land with its unique landscape and for the species that live within it. So the resource management plan helps meet all these by directing managers with decision making, showing multiple different options for managers to implement different management strategies, protecting the monument's unique landscape. One of the most famous parts of the monument is the wave, which we'll get into later, but you'll see just how unique the landscape can be. And then setting standards for habitat for the species that live within the monument. These species range from endangered, special, native, and then can encompass all three of these as well. So the RMP creation. To go back to that, the monument was declared a monument itself in the year 2000 by President Clinton, which gave the Bureau of Land Management, also known as the BLM, hold of the management of the land. So the BLM drafted the original RMP back in 2005, but was not actually implemented until January 2008. There's a couple of reasons for this, but the most significant is going to be because of the protesters who disagreed with different parts of the RMP. And these protesters range from like the global Sierra Club network all the way to just individual people that knew the land and wanted to make sure it's going to be protected. The final resource management plan addresses all the issues. However, it also says they tried to change as little as they could while addressing the issues. I do think the protests are a good way of keeping the Bureau of Land Management in check because they themselves are writing their own management plan. So there has to be some checks and balances within that. So it does help stop overreach, and it also gives the public and the individuals a voice. So like if I disagreed with it, I could have ran in and said my own concerns. So what are the main goals of the RMP? Relaying it to the BLM's mission statement of sustaining the health, diversity, and productivity of public lands for the use and enjoyment of present and future generations. The RMP ensures that the monument is managed to allow generational use. One big way this is implemented is through carrying capacities among more popular areas. And then it also lays out that they want to preserve the history of the land. There are many cave paintings and homes left by former tribes that used to live along the land. And there's also old Mormon homesteads from when they started settling out west. Um, and then it also wants to protect many unique species, which we'll also get into on the next slide. So one of these species is the California condor. Originally, there's only 22 left of these species in the mid-1900s, and all of these were in captivity. In the actual resource management plan, the goal is set aside or is to make sure that the California condor numbers reach at least 150 within the monument. To help with this, the Bureau of Land Management has partnered with the Peregrine Fund. It's an organization that works with a bunch of different birds, but within Vermilion Cliffs National Monument, they specifically help with the California condors. They release a number of condors with the BLM in the monument every year. This usually takes place around September. And since the resource management plan's implementation, The species has almost reached 150 condors in the wilderness that the BLM started out in 2008. Um, the RMP also outlines further protections. One of these is public viewing areas. This allows the public to be able to see the releasings and just them in the wild without having to get close to them. And then just continued restoration of the habitats themselves. So how is science used within the monument? One way is through condor tracking. Each condor has two radio transmitters that are attached to them when they are released to help track like flight patterns, where they're nesting, and just where they're going throughout the park. Another way that condors are also like studied and data is collected is because a team of biologists is assigned to them. This ranges from just a couple to up to 10 are assigned to just each individual condor. This helps track more physical data, such as stuff like nesting, their physical health, what they're eating, and just kind of stuff like that. The RMP also implements public surveying to help with general management of the monument. This is done at least every 5 years. People surveyed are recreationalists and just general visitors, and they're surveyed on if their needs are met and what benefits they're getting. Because if their needs or benefits are not being met, it allows managers to kind of change their management strategies to better help these people. And some different recreation opportunities within the monument. The big one is going to be hiking. There are many different trails, including the wave. Um, the wave is probably the most popular. It's a bunch of like different sandstone gradients. Um, Permits are required for a lot of the hiking trails, including the wave. These are done through either virtual lotteries or just you buy the permit online. Bird watching is also another big one because of the annual releasing of the California condor. And like I said, BLM has specific areas to watch these releases. There are a couple other bird species too that are either endangered or just special that a lot of people come for too that we'll talk about later. And then camping and hunting are also very common, but again, you do need permits. And two, BLM has pushed for non-lead ammunition because that was one of the leading factors to the California condor decline. And the survey said around 80% of hunters now use non-lead ammunition. So some other birds of prey within the monument. The Mexican spotted owl is also endangered. And the RMP implements different recovery efforts. They do this by limiting land or modification or nesting sites and the restoration of their habitat. Another bird is going to be the bald eagle. Though they are not endangered now, the eagle is still talked about within the resource management plan. This is because they were only delisted in 2007, but the management plan was created or implemented in 2008 and was originally drafted in 2005. So at the original drafting, they were still endangered, and when it was implemented, they were just becoming delisted. BLM wanted to keep protections on the bird. They do this by either limiting or relocating activities around their nests and just completely shutting down activities around their nests between October 5th and April 25th. And finally, I think the monument itself could greatly benefit through an app. National Park Service has their own app. The BLM really don't have an app for them. One thing I would add to this app is going to be condor tracking. One, this is going to give the public the ability to kind of see where the condors have been or are going, and they can do this from within the park and even from the comfort of their own couch. So I really like the monument, and I was thousands of miles away. I could just open this app and kind of see where my favorite condor has been. And then virtual road warnings is kind of like how Google Maps can point out hazards. But within the park, there are no paved roads, and the roads are usually not maintained very often. Um, and because of this, if it rains, gets wet, or just general weathering can cause vehicles to get stuck very often. And this feature would allow visitors to kind of point out these areas to help future visitors from getting stuck. Um, I think this would greatly benefit everybody and greatly save many people time from being stuck just stranded in the middle of this desert. Here are my citations. Thank you all for listening. I hope you learned something today. And please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to answer it. Have a good one.